We are recording.
All right. Well, I will get started then. Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Arts and History grant information session here that we are recording live. So it will be available on our website, boiseartsandhistory.org later today or tomorrow if you need to come back to it. And thank you for joining us. I'm Amy Fackler, the grants manager, and I have Jennifer Wybar with us, also helping man the station here for, she is our communications and outreach coordinator. And thank you so much, Jennifer, for being here today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
And she will be monitoring our chat function too. So if you do have questions that come up during this, please write them in the chat feature, and then she will monitor those and put those together, and we can talk about that as we go. And there's two big opportunities for the questions, but feel free to put them in as you as they come up for you. So I am, let's see, what was it? I will go straight to our brief PowerPoint. If you've been through this training before, information, I want you to be assured that I've really streamlined it and cut it down as much as I can, so it won't be too long. And I want to note that this will be a high-level overview for a lot of information, but I'm really going to emphasize to show you where to find additional information and details to keep this expedited and not get too far into the weeds here. If I do, just let me know. If you need me to land the plane, just say so, because sometimes it's easy to go down a rabbit hole here. So first I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go to the PowerPoint, and it takes me just a second because go like that, and then I have to switch views. Oops, sorry, I am not at the beginning. Sorry about that. So let's see if I can move that over. So this is the high-level overview, and what we'll talk about is those resources, as I mentioned, and where to find them, and some basics and the new things this year. For those of you who may have had a training before, we'll try to get right to that information so you are aware, and I'll offer some suggestions, and then we'll leave this PowerPoint and go to the Zoom Grants login and show you how to go through that process and what is in on the platform there. And like I said, we'll have opportunity for questions. So we'll do it after we finish the suggestions, and then again related to the Zoom Grants after we go through that. So because there is a lot of information, I don't want to go into those details as I noted, but I want to show you where a lot of the information is located in multiple places, so you are sure you will be able to find it. So the first place is our boiseartsandhistory.org website, and I'll go there in just a moment. And then Zoom Grants system itself, I've uploaded a lot of documents, and there's also a lot of information and directions provided in the system itself. So while you're in there, you can access that. You don't, you have multiple ways to get to the same information. So I'm going to go to the website really quickly. So just a moment, I'm going to stop this and then, oops, go to our website. Oops, that's not it. Sorry, one moment. Add it up. I did just have it up, but let me, here, here I'm going to go to, sorry about that. I'll go here and then I can look it out there. Are you seeing the website?
That looks good, Amy.
Okay, thank you. So on our website, boiseartsandhistory.org, you scroll down to our Arts and History Grants landing page, and it has a lot of information here. It has examples of past recipients, some are videos, some are lists that you can explore, and the general information about the application window. They are open now through June 16th. And these are for projects between October 1st and September 1st, 2022. So that's the start of the city's fiscal year 2022. That's why we start October 1st. And I really want to emphasize, and I'll say this a few times throughout this presentation, that we want this application to be accessible for you. So one way, if you have language translation needs or any physical accessibility needs, you can contact Jennifer Wybar, whose information is on our website, or me as well, and we can make sure we get you set up. I do want to note quickly on our website itself, at the very bottom, you can select a language out of quite a few here, and to get the pages on the website translated itself. So but the application itself in Zoom Grants is not translated. So if you need assistance with that, please let us know at your earliest convenience. So I just wanted to show you, we have the grant guidelines and the grant criteria, and I have separated these out this year. They were together in one document, but I really wanted to emphasize the grant guidelines are something you review beforehand, kind of see what types of applications we are looking for, and what we can and can't do, and kind of all those details. And then the grant criteria is specifically what the reviewers look for during evaluation. And that's how they score your application. So I just wanted to keep those really clear, and hopefully that will help you focus on your application questions. There's also some program FAQs and tutorials from Zoom Grants itself, which are also available in Zoom Grants, and a direct application link on the application here. So let's see here. I'm going to stop sharing that. And then we're going to go to a new share, back to the PowerPoint here. Okay. So Zoom Grants also has a lot of those documents and downloaded, plus some other information. So I'll show you that where they are located when we get to the Zoom Grants application section. So I hope my screen is right. It looks right to me, but Jennifer, do let me know if it's not.
Looks great.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. So we'll just go over some of the basics, and that the purpose of this grant program is to help fund quality arts, history, and cultural projects in both established and emerging cultural fields to benefit people living within Boise city limits. So that means we really want to support a variety of endeavors and initiatives, as many as we are able to, and that can be from organizations that have been here a long time, and also people that are trying to do something new or collaborative, or whatever that looks like to you. So, and just give people a voice in contributing to our Boise culture. Individuals and nonprofits and businesses may all apply, but please note that if you apply as an individual, you do have to sign an agreement with the city and submit a W-9. I mean, everyone does, but as an individual, it can be a little tricky with the W-9 if you're in a small group, and you just have to think through those tax implications, because that W-9, any funds awarded are reported to the IRS. So if you need to get some tax advice, I would do so before you get too far into how you will apply for this grant. You can apply for between $1,000 and $5,000 in $500 increments. And proposals must meet Americans with Disability Act standards regarding physical accessibility, and that applies also, to project venues, in particular to project venues, just to make sure you have those systems in place. And it's a great idea, if you have additional means to accommodate any special needs or situations. It's great if you can do so and include that in your application when you answer the questions. And part of the checklist in the questions is that you comply with our Department of Arts and History Equal Opportunity Statement, which should be up on the screen here, that we do not discriminate in our programs or activities on the basis of race, religion, national origin, sex, age, sexual orientation, gender identity, and/or disability. So I know this past year has been a struggle for a lot of us in trying to figure out and plan, and especially for those, group events. So we are hoping, cautiously optimistic that we're on the right track, and we're going to continue to make progress in fewer COVID cases and keep moving forward in that regard. But we do have these resources available to help you in knowing, understanding what the parameters are in terms of the city's orders, and the Central District Health has a form to fill out if you are having a group gathering event that you would fill out before submitting. You submit it with materials for if you're holding a special event, say, an event in the park or a group event that, sorry, I've got a dog in the neighborhood that whines a lot. Anyway, these are all available also in the application, and just to help you with planning and keep in those sites should be kept updated. And if you have questions, it gets confusing, I will always contact me. We'll try to work through it, because I know there's a lot still in flux right now. So we're just trying to, again, be cautiously optimistic in our planning. Again, I want to reiterate those, if you do need translation services or other assistance for anything else, please let us know, and as soon as possible, so we can get you the resources that you need to have the best chance for success. So here's the new this year, and these are experiments, so kind of bear with each other as we go through them, in theory and reality, to see how they work. So in the attachment section of the application, you can now, as an option, you don't need to, but you can add short video answers in addition to your written answers to questions in the application. So it doesn't, you still have to write an answer, but for those of you that feel you can express yourselves better verbally, this is an opportunity for you to do so. And the idea, though, is to keep them short, because you don't want too long of videos for the reviewers, because it's if they're too long, they just get a little lost. And so keep them short. If you can answer up to 5 questions, and you could do them as separate files or all as one, and keep them to a minute each for each question. You don't have to do that at all. You can do it all as one to add. Again, it's an experiment, so we'll see how it goes. And because of the limitations to file sizes in Zoom grants, you would likely need to download your video to a platform and then provide the link in Zoom grants. So anyway, again, we'll see how that goes. And if questions come up if you want to try that, just let me know, and I will try my best to work through that with you. Another change for this year is there is not a separate budget tab, but the budget is required, but it's in that Excel template that we have I've provided in past years, and I have provided it again in a template form and a filled out sample form to to try to simplify and avoid redundancy in the budget section. And I'm hoping that this is a solution that will give people a better streamlining and help with the application, the process. But again, it is an experiment, so we will see. I hope so, fingers crossed. I also wanted to emphasize in this presentation that although we put this in as a main point a few years back, I just want to emphasize that for this program, this grant program, proposals that provide a free or low cost, no or low cost opportunities, which are defined at this point as under $20 or under per person. That's the best fit for this grant program. And that is, again, because we want to not have obstacles for people to access. And with the understanding, some projects will have higher ticket prices and such. And in that case, this may be an opportunity, this grant program, to use your application as a means to get access to for these low or no cost options. Like you would use the funds to provide low or free tickets, or just disperse or have some performances that are free or something, or low cost, something along those lines. And I'm happy to talk through that with anyone who wishes to do so. And then this final section on the PowerPoint is about suggestions. So we suggest in general to request the amount needed, not needing to pad a request in terms of, well, they'll probably give me a percentage if I'm awarded, so I'll ask for more. We really try hard to give the full amount requested when we award a grant. But do make sure your amount requested matches the scope. So it matches your budget, so if you're requesting a certain amount, it's got to all connect with the budget and information you provide there. There are exceptions when we sometimes award slightly less, and that usually is one of two scenarios. When your application is scored and falls close to the cutoff line, and say there's only $3,000 left in the budget where it cuts off, and you requested 4,000 something. This is an example. Then we would say, oh well, we really want to help fund it, but in your award letter we would note that it was for this lower amount, and if you are still able to do what you set out to do with that amount, or if you modify it in some way. Sometimes there's a component the review team is not super clear about, but they like this other part, and so in that instance they might want to fund some part of it, but not the whole thing. Those are pretty rare, but it does happen. So another suggestion is, if you have never received an arts and history grant, if you you're more likely to have success, but not necessarily to request between $1,000 and $3,000 the first time. And that's just an observation of what I've noticed over the years. Again, it's not a requirement, but it is a good idea to keep it in a lower, keep the scope really simple at first, and then something you might be able to build upon in later years. And again, always we can talk about your ideas and how that might work. Emphasizing, if everyone, whether you are any applicant awarded has to fill out a W-9. So if it's an individual or you're an organization, so I just want to make sure you understand that, and it's not a surprise. This is particularly helpful for people that have a lot of donated services and volunteer time. You can use that, as we call it, in-kind expenses, and I'll show you in the budget, but you can calculate what that value is and use that in your budget towards your total project expenses, because you don't want to request more than 50% of your total project expenses. And so when you have used those in-kind expenses, it makes that total higher, so you can request a higher amount. Also, make sure partnerships are confirmed that you set out in your application, and that helps reviewers have confidence that you'll follow through. So it's avoiding things like, well, I'm thinking about working with so and so, or we're, I'm talking about it, but really have it dialed in and confirm like we are um, we are partners in this, and this is what we're going to do, or these are the people I'm including in the performances, or whatever that may be. As much as you can have solid and confirmed, the better. So also, this may seem self-evident, but answer the questions asked. But sometimes people get excited, and I can understand it. People get excited about their projects, and they'll kind of go off and answer and talk about something that's really not part of the question. So just really read those questions, and there's most of the questions have more information below them, so you can really understand what we're trying to get out and answer those clear and concisely. And that's kind of along the lines of staying in the scope, keep those parameters clear, and connecting the dots. So what you say, and it's okay to repeat, but what you say in your what you're setting out to do matches what your target audience and how you're going to market to them. So it all makes sense. And even if you feel like you're repeating yourself, that's okay, because it helps actually the reviewers when they don't have to keep scrolling back and forth to try to understand what you're doing. And again, I mentioned in terms of the people you're collaborating with, if you are, but keep your statements in the affirmative, like, I will do this, I'm going to do that, here's my timeline, this is going to happen here, instead of maybe or could or thinking about. There is a question that talks about long-term goals, where you can channel that energy of like, oh, you get excited and thinking about what might happen later, and when that scope might expand, and that question is an opportunity for you to put that kind of information there. So the attachment section, which I'll show you in Zoom Grants, is really a great opportunity to really supplement your application, show people your ideas, and express your past experience, and use it as really a strong part of your application, not an afterthought. Make sure you spend enough time on getting those together and making them as short as possible. As I mentioned, you don't want to have video links that are 45 minutes long, or do an excerpt, or do if you have links to your bios on a website, you can do that instead of uploading a document, just to help expedite if you want to. And each work sample, that the work sample attachment, you can upload many documents. It doesn't, each field that I'll show you, you can upload many, including links, and not just documents. You can upload photos. There's a lot of opportunity, audio files. There's a lot of different things you can do. So I really highly recommend to discuss your proposal with me prior to submitting a grant application, so I can help guide what I think might have the best chance to be successful. And it is also, I recommend getting a draft review, which I do. You download a PDF, email it to me, and I can help you do that if needed. And then I write some suggestions in the PDF and send it back to you, that hopefully will give you some opportunity to strengthen your proposal if needed. And I just ask that if you do want to pursue a draft review, if you can get it to me prior to June 4th, with the deadline at June 16th, because they do take a while, and I want to make sure I have enough time to get you a solid draft review, and you have enough time to implement any changes that you want to make after that, before the deadline. So and also, create the PDF and email, and you do not select the submit button. It's right next to the PDF function. So if that happens, we can fix it, but just beware of that danger. So if you get the grant, I will be sending you a checklist. You'll need to sign the agreement, submit a W-9 and an invoice, and the checklist will have all this information on it. We also have a grant recipient training that we can go over how to get into the system and do all those things. And then you could submit your first invoice for 80% of the award starting October 1st. And then you'd submit the final invoice for the remaining 20% of the award after you complete the project. So also I suggest as you're working along in your, if you're awarded, continually refer back to your application. So to make sure you kind of keep in that scope. And if there are any changes or, something happens, say with COVID, then you can talk with me about it and we can figure out some ways to address the change or whatever might happen. So but refer back to that application to keep that scope, keep yourself in the channel that you've set out for yourself. And this is my contact info. I know it's all over, but I just want to make sure you have that, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and we can set up meetings if through MS Teams, or maybe even meet outside somewhere if the weather holds, and if whatever your comfort level is on any of this. I can do it email, phone, safely, out in person, whatever works for you. Okay. So we're going to go to Zoom grants now, but I'll just stop for a second, see if Jennifer, if you have any questions I need to address at this point.
We do not have any questions at this point, but please feel free to add them to the chat. We're monitoring and we'll make sure to answer them.
Great, thank you. All right, so I am going to talk about Zoom grants next, and we're going to see about getting into your account, have what the application questions look like, and that budget sheet, and which is part of in the attachments. So I'm going to stop sharing. Oh wait, first I'm going to share. Since I already started my test account, this is what you'll see when you click on that apply link in either from our website, or you can go to zoomgrants.com, and it'll take you to a larger site you can look for, but it's easier to do it from our website if you have that, if you can do so. So you'll get, you can't really see this up here. If you already have an existing account, you log in there. If this is your first time in Zoom Grants, you create an account here, and my only advice is to use an email and password. If you're an organization, keep it a general email, maybe not a specific staff person email, because if there's staff turnover and I cannot get access to your email or passwords, you can get them through Zoom Grants, but it's just kind of you'll have to go through their help, and they're usually very responsive, but it will just save you some headaches if you use a more general email. And then once you do that, once you either create your new account or log in, it will give you a notice, and then you will be on the application page. And now I'm going to stop and go to a new screen. Let me make sure I get the right one. Well, let's just go here and I'll do it this way. Are you seeing Zoom Grants, Jennifer?
We are, thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so once you log in and you'll get to the Zoom Grants, you'll have all of those resources that I mentioned. There's all these description, requirements, restrictions, resources, lots and lots of info here. So just be sure to read through all of that. And again, I have links all over. So they are cross-referencing each other, the Boise City Limits map. But the resource documents, you can get through that tab up here. I have lots and lots of stuff in there, including the guidelines and criteria that are on our website, the budget form that's a sample that's filled out, the budget form that's the template that you will download, save to your computer, fill out, and then upload in the attachments section. It's also available in the attachment section. So this template is available in 2 places. And then those other links, again, from the basic requirements about the Boise City limits, our equal opportunity statement, and those COVID links about latest updates and forms and special events and that kind of thing. I know that's a lot, but I just wanted you to make sure to know that's there, and you can hide and show them here if they're kind of bugging you. Oh wait, I don't know how that is. So that way, you can get to them or hide them as you please. And then once you hide them, you'll see this is just the summary info that you're going to fill out first. There's just 3 tabs: the applications and the attachments. And again, that budget, we used to have a budget tab, and that will be the budget Excel sheet that you will upload in that section, download and upload. So the summary information is really pretty self-explanatory. What you're calling your project and the amount requested and all that kind of information. I just wanted to note, if you are a small, collaboration, or you're an individual, you might be repeating yourself a lot in these first few sections to fill out: the applicant information and organization information, and the project manager. That may all be one person, and that's okay. And if you don't need to fill out this ID yet, especially if you're an individual, because you would do that for your, we'll do that if you receive the award, you would do that through the W-9. That way you don't have all your information here, your private information. So I just wanted to also note if you have people that you want to help write or edit your application, you can write their information in here, add their information here. And if you want to give them editing access, you check that box, and you can add them to additional contacts, or do that separately. Additional contacts is they will get that, whoever you put in here will their email address, they will receive the official notifications that are sent from the Zoom grant system, such as messages about, reminders to submit your application, that kind of thing. One word of warning: if you do have more than one person working on the application, the system auto saves as you type. So if you are working on it at the same time, you don't want to over save each other, or so you may want to make sure you know each other when each other are working on it, or divvy up the questions so you each work on different questions. So again, not to avoid that issue. That's all for there. Go to next, and the application questions themselves. So there are a total of 12 questions. Again, I have instructions, cross-referencing some of that information that is also in the resources tab, but just wanted to make sure it's easy for you to get to. These questions are pretty self-explanatory, and I tried hard to put information, below to further clarify. I want to note that in number 5 and 6, these questions are right in the question right here. All you need to do is list the project manager and describe their responsibilities. It doesn't have to be very long. And this would be for the, person who's in charge of the project and doing kind of that administrative duties. Number 6 is the key artists and historians, or those with cultural expertise that are involved with your project and will be handling that component of your project. And those would be each of these, again, you're just going to list and write a quick little summary of what they'll be doing for this project. And then in the attachment section, for each person you list here, let's say you list 2 people here and 3 people here, in the attachments tab, you will want to upload a brief bio or resume that's really focused on related to this application. Like, you don't need to show every job they've ever had, but how their skills and expertise relate to this application. And for you can do those all in one document, or you can upload separate bios, or you can, if you have a website that has a bio on it, you can link there. That's no problem. It's whatever is easy for you. So I just want to highlight that these will have corresponding bios in that attachment section. The other thing I want to highlight is, because again, I think these questions are really self-explanatory, and if you ever have questions, you just let me know, and can have that draft review to make sure you think you're hitting them appropriately. But this last question, number 12, is what else would you like to share about your proposal? It's kind of designed to be that catch-all. It's optional. You can put NA in here. You do have to fill something in there, so in this field, so you'll be able to submit the application. But it's just kind of in case there's something here that you feel the questions didn't quite capture that you really wanted to share with the reviewers. So again, it's optional, you don't need to, but it's that opportunity for that, something I didn't quite hit in the questions that you think are important. So once you fill out the questions, and note though, I should address that people often ask, well, how long should should my answers be? And there's no set answer to that question, but you do have, I've set it for 3,500 characters, and it shows you as you go how many you have left. The idea is you want to make it, again, concise. It doesn't have to be real long, but it should make the reviewers feel confident in what you're doing, and if they have a clear understanding of what you're proposing and how you're going to implement the project. The one thing, some people like to fill in the filling out the questions in a Word document and then cut and paste them here. And you can do that. You can also do it in like a notes file that doesn't have formatting. In the past, and I think this is still the case, if you do any formatting in Word, it can hang this up when you try to copy and paste. It'll do saving, and it's a real pain. And if know that it auto saves, as I mentioned. So if you change something in here and you're in the system and you change it, and then you go, I don't really like that, I want to go back, you can't go back to what you had in here previously unless you have it also in another, like a Word or a notes document. So it depends on your preference how you want to go about that. It's also, I suggest when you answer the questions, if you can, since there isn't a lot of formatting options in here, if you want to use all caps, like if you want to separate, spaces between lines, or have some asterisks, or it might help to break up your answers to some of the questions. And I mentioned that in some of these questions, like the short and long-term goals. Like you may want to separate short-term goals, long-term goals, just kind of break it up to make it, just want it to be easy to read for the reviewers, and then not, like I said before, not have them have to search through your application. So I hope that makes sense. And then we are going to go to the last section here, the attachments. And you can show or hide these instructions, but make sure you read through them because they are important. There are required documents and attachments or optional, and I put the requirements on top. A huge one is that project budget, and I'll show you in a moment that I provide the template for, and also the sample in the resources section of the application that's filled out. And the bios and resumes, as I mentioned, would be for those questions in 5 and 6. And again, if you just have, you can upload multiple links or multiple documents, or if you want to just add one with everything, that's fine too. Whatever is easiest for you. And then the work samples, again, there's all kinds of formats you can do, and I'll see if, I don't know if this will show up or not, but you can upload, I don't know if you can see the upload screen or not. It's taking its time, but oopsie. Well, it's not working for some reason. So anyway, all different kinds of file formats. And then you just have to make sure you hit upload at the bottom of that little pop-up screen that comes up when you upload. And then it will, when you refresh the screen, it will show up in your application. And be sure, like I noted, for your work samples, spend some time on them and make sure, you know, they're concise. So if you have a long video, just show an excerpt that's a couple minutes, or you don't want the, you want to be able to give the reviewers a quick snapshot and not overwhelm them. Oh, there's, speaking of Bernie, there he is. Again, you can upload all different kinds of formats. Just give those reviewers a clear sense of what you're applying for, and use this as an opportunity to, you know, show off a little. So a letter of support, and I noted all of this in these instructions here. You can do a second letter if you want. One is required, and you really want it from someone who can vouch for the project manager's ability to carry out the proposal, and that, you know, they have some expertise in the type of project you're applying for. And that, again, that info is all up here. The staff and volunteer list, that's optional. You don't need to do that unless you feel like it really helps showcase, maybe you're a bigger organization, or you're even a small organization that depends a lot on volunteer assistance, and you really want to show how that impacts, you know, positively your organization related to this project. And again, the last optional attachment is the filmed or video additions to application questions. Again, you still have to fill out something in the application questions, but this is just to supplement. So if you express yourself better verbally and are great at filming, and you know how to download those to links and get it up there, then, you know, go for it. And my only advice, again, is to keep them short. And I have that up here too. You know, don't make them longer than a minute per question. You can film up to 5. If you want to have it all on one link, video link, that's great. If you want to do separate, that's fine too. It's up to you. So to reiterate, the instructions are up here. If they're not showing, you can do the show hide, and just take your time to read through these directions. And if you have questions after doing so, let me know and we can talk about it and how it might work. Oh, one quick thing I forgot to say, for the letter of support, if you want to send this link directly to the person you're requesting a letter from, send them that link, and then they can upload it all by themselves. They don't need to send it to you and then you save it and then you upload it back up here. You can do that too, whatever you want, but it's an option there. It's an external link. All right. Now I would like to show you the budget sheet. So let me see if I can do that easily. I wonder if I could do it. Maybe if I click. Dang it, sorry, this is. Okay, I'm gonna do new share. Let's see if this works. If not, bear with me just a second here. Okay. So this is the, oops. Hold on. I'm gonna stop share. Let's try that again. Template. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to get it over here.
It looks good, Amy.
Oh, you can see it?
Yep, absolutely.
Oh,
yep.
You can see the budget screen? The budget?
We can see an Excel spreadsheet. Is that what you're wanting to?
Yay. Okay.
Okay.
It's on my
awesome.
other, it popped over to my other screen.
So project expenses section is the
Yes.
title of that Excel sheet.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So this mirrors what was on the, used to be the budget tab. And I did provide this in prior years to this Excel sheet, but I'm trying to avoid redundancy and to make it easy and to make it consistent so people really understand what we're looking for. So I truly tried hard to make this simple, but you know, budgets are never simple. But just so you know, there's all these directions on the right-hand side. And what you would do is you would enable editing, and then, you know, file and save it to your computer, fill it out, and then you would upload it back on that attachments screen. What's nice about this one that wasn't available in the tab on the Zoom Grants system is that it autofills. You don't have to go into preview. You can see what your totals are. And the instructions are right here, so you don't have to kind of scroll around. Also, what's nice is some things autofill. For example, you used to have to fill this in yourself, but the in-kind and volunteer expenses, which I mentioned and are explained right here, these are expenses you would normally have to pay for, but you are being donated or discounted, and it includes volunteer hours. So you calculate that, explain it. It auto totals down here, and that total automatically pops in on your income section. You don't have to calculate that up, or, you know, you don't have to manually put that in. So that's an advantage, I'm hoping, from the system in the Zoom Grants form itself. I'm hoping that this will really make it easier. In the sample form, I wrote examples. You don't have to do it exactly how I did it in the sample form, but it just gives you one way to go about it. One key to note is that so the total project expenses that will total up right here, they need to match your total project income, which will total up right here. So right now these are green because it's not filled out. But if these one of these were red, then that means these aren't matching. And so I have instructions here. If one of these is higher than the other, you know what you need to do. You need to either add money to, or add project expenses, or deduct project expenses, or vice versa in the income section. And I hope that this form makes that more clear also. And if you do have any trouble with it, just let me know and I can help walk you through it. I know it looks a little intimidating, but I really, really think it's going to be easier. I mean, I hope it's going to be easier this year. One thing also to note, the amount of this request, I put it in expected, not secured, because secured are funds that are actually confirmed, and expected are that you're expected but not yet confirmed. So put your amount of in this cell here, and make sure that it matches what you requested in the application. So and then that what you're requesting, say you request $3,000, it can't be, oh, there's, my neighbor had to mow. Hold, excuse me one moment, I'm gonna just shut this. Oops. Sorry about that. I had to, I was leaving the door open so the dog wouldn't disturb me, but now my neighbor's mowing. So anyway, your total project expenses, it can't be your total amount that you are requesting that you'll put in here, say $3,000. It can't be more than 50% of your total request. So if you are requesting 6,000, you know, if your total right here is $6,000 and you're requesting 3,000, you're good. But if this total ends up being 5,000, then you need to either make a smaller request or increase some expenses here. And that's what I was referring to earlier in the presentation about really using those in-kind and volunteer hours and donated services. Say you're getting a break on the venue rental, add that here, and that will increase your total project expenses that will self-calculate for you here. So it kind of takes some futzing around with it and just experimenting a little. So at first, you know, your total project expenses and your total project income are not going to match as you work through the process, but you should be able to just mess around with it and hopefully it'll come together for you. And if not, you let me know and I'll help you. Please also note, and that this is all written down here, but you want to leave these item description, these in these cells, leave them as they are. Please don't change them. But if you have something that's not mentioned here, you put it in these rows, and that's true with income too. And then you'll just explain what that is in this column E. You just explain, oh, well, I also have, you know, I don't know what it would be. Dog grooming expenses that I'm going to put over here. So I hope that works better this year. And there's also, again, let's see what our time is. I'll see if there's any questions, and if not, then I can show you the sample filled out form, but I don't want to go over. So let me know. I'll stop sharing this. Okay, so are there any questions that I can answer? Is that a question? I'm sorry.
So the question is, will the record, so there's some really kind words for your presentation and for your work. Thank you. And will the recording and slides be made available to today's participants? Yes, they will.
Yes, and I'll download that PowerPoint too. And then, yeah, if you have questions on the Zoom grants, the different screens, yeah, just let me know, because they're kind of hard to go through screenshots. But I'm happy to, we could make a meeting like this, and I could share my screen, and or you could share yours, and we could go through that if needed too. So.
And we'll make sure to make the recording available as soon as possible, and we'll share it on our social media channels, Boise Arts and History, and you can always contact Amy for that specific link, but look for that on our social media channels and on the grants webpage as well, boiseartsandhistory.org/grants.
Yeah. And since I have a minute, unless there's something else, I just, if I can.
I do not see any other questions at this time, but please feel free to submit them.
Okay, let me show you this sample. And is it showing? Are you seeing my screen?
It is.
Okay, of the filled
An
out sample.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. I just wanted to show you how I filled it out, and it's just a test. And I noted, even though on these notes, you don't have to fill out every row. I did most of them just to, as an example, but if something doesn't apply to your application, you do not need to fill it out. Let's see what else. So these explanations are kind of just how I made it really simple. You don't have to do it exactly that way. It's just the way I thought was succinct to kind of show what we're talking about. If you are more of a narrative person and want to write it out in that kind of form, that's fine too. I just, as an example, and I wanted to show you how this matches. It's in green, and that matches, it's in green. But if I, let's say I, oh, I didn't enable that in. Well, anyway, if I were to lower this, and this would turn red, so they wouldn't match, and then you'd know, oh, these don't match, and I need to make them match. So, and then, you know, like the autofills, I hope this will show you just a little sample there. So anyway, that's all. I just wanted to throw that out there in case it was helpful. And oh, okay, I think I'm done. If there are any other questions, let me know. And you know, I really appreciate you being here today and bearing with these. You know, and it. I know it's a lot of information at once and a lot of resources to go through, but please remember to contact me anytime, and I encourage you to do so, and we can make sure to get through this application together if needed. So thank you so much for everything, and we'll have this on the website later. So thank you so much, and goodbye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for attending.
Bye.